I'm Sarah Watney and I'm head girl for Alex Bragg. My favourite foreign product is Refuel Gel. We use it particularly after cross country in 3 days. It really helps get in the electrolytes and vitamins that the horses have lost during sweating back into the system.
I love this time of year, listeners, because we roll from one big preview into the next, because this weekend it is Bramham, and so we have got a competitive 4-star long and a 4-star short and the under 25s sort of national championship, so to speak. So we're going to look forward to the competition in question. Before we dive into today's show, listeners, I actually wanted to give you an update on the EHOA Members 4-star league, which is supported by ESL. Now, the league was launched last year, and it is all about rewarding those horses that have consistent performance at the 4-star level on British soil. So whether that be a 4-star long or a 4-star short, it is the best 3-point scores to count. But, and this is the really key part, if you have cross-country jumping penalties at any point, even if it's not one of your counting scores, you lose points. So it's all about consistency. It's all about reliability. And it's about rewarding those owners and those riders that consistently support top-level eventing in Britain. And the Event Horse Owners Association do an incredible job in it. We have had some 4 legs, I think now. We've had Thoresby, Burnham Market, Chatsworth and Bicton. And of course, all eyes now turning to Bramham, the first time that 4-star long points are on offer. And you get a few more points for a 4-star long. And they go a little bit further down the order. So it is 25 points for winning a 4-star long. If you finish second, you'd get 24 points. Third, you'd get 23 points, so on and so forth. For a 4-star short, if you win, you get 15 points. If you're second, you get 14 points. And then it goes down to 15 places in a 4-star short and 25 places in a 4-star long. So last year's winner of the EHOA Members League was actually Ros Cantor's Pencos Crown Jewel, who is owned by Annie Macon and Kate James. And she counted podium points from her finish at Bramham. Will we see this year's eventual winner coming from Bramham this weekend? Watch this space. So let's take a look at how the leaderboard is shaping up after the first 4 legs. So far, Laura Collett de Capo, they've got a win, a 3rd place, so they actually have 28 points on the card for them. Oliver Townend, Tregilder, 25 points, currently sitting in 2nd. And Swallow Springs, Oliver Townend at 24 points in 3rd. Then a little bit of a drop back, 18 points for Emily King and Valmy Biaps. Obviously, they had a win at Thoresby a little bit earlier on in the season, but they also picked up a couple of points elsewhere too. This weekend, though, it is Piggy March, Brookfield Cavalier Cruise, who I think are going to be one of the big movers, alongside Cerys Macaulay Drumconic Cavalier, who are actually in 5th and 6th on the leaderboard as well. I think Cerys is also in the running for the highest placed under 28 rider, which there is a brilliant prize. I think there's £2,000 in prize money for the highest placed under 28, which is absolutely incredible. And so both of those are going to be really looking to add points this weekend. This could catapult them to the top of the leaderboard. Watch this space. We've still got a way to go. It goes all the way through. It's obviously going to count for the likes of Hartbury. We've got an Aston Lewell's Bergen 4-star shorts as well. Blair Castle, both the 4 short and the 4 long. Blenheim, all finishes at Little Downham. Last year it went down to the absolute wire at Little Downham. So watch this space. I would just say, if you don't know much about the EHOA, they do incredible work to support eventing. And supporting owners in the sport as well. We all know how important owners are. They do a brilliant job. They have great hospitality at all of the major events, and it's not a huge amount of money to join in either. It's, I think, about £60 for a membership. It is not expensive. So if you are an event horse owner and you're not already a member of the EHOA, go and join in the fun, because they're a great group of people and it's a really brilliant way to experience the sport and make lots of new friends and have a really nice experience. I'm going to say that word twice because that's what it is, and it's all about enjoying every single moment. And they put a lot back into the sport as well, and it's not just at the very top levels. This obviously aimed at 4-star, but even if we look at the BE80 NAF Championships at Bramham this weekend or this week, there's a £250 voucher on offer for the highest placed horse that's owned by an EHOA member. So yeah, if you're not already a member,
go and take a look and keep an eye on the league. We'll mention it a lot throughout the next few months as we build up towards the end of the season. But Bramham, key turning point. Who will be on top of the league at the end of the weekend? We'll give you an update next week, listeners.
So I'm delighted to say Catherine Austin is with me. Catherine, how is life with you?
Life is fine, Nicole. Like you, I am busy, running about, trying to get so many things done for so many people, but it's good. It's the summer and it's not raining at the moment, and eventing is here. And I'm looking out of my window at just beautiful, lush scenery. We're having had the rain. It's all now very beautiful and green.
I was going to say, it feels really, really green at the moment, doesn't it? I kept wanting to break into some sort of green grass George Ezra song when we were talking about Mill Street. Everything is lush. We have very much had sunshine as well, which means that the ground is finally drying up. And I would probably say, let's be totally honest, it'll go from being too wet to too hard in a heartbeat. Because
completely, I know. I was just thinking that, and actually, Bramham should be great. They're extremely good at the ground there, and they know exactly what they're doing. And it's old turf, and hopefully, I think they had good ground at Bicton last weekend, and they'd worked very hard on it. And I'm sure that everyone will have suitable ground to run on next weekend as well. And it's lovely Yorkshire. We love going to Yorkshire.
We do. It's very friendly, proper old parkland. So big undulating park that just Ian Stark does a great job in utilising all of the natural terrain for his cross-country courses. It is built by David Evans and his team, so it is always beautifully presented. Bramham is traditionally known on the calendar as being that sort of, you've got a horse that goes well at Bramham. One, it's going to make the step up to 5-star well and pretty soon. And two, dare I say it, it could be a Burley horse as well. And of course, we've got Burley in a few weeks' time, or a few months' time, I should say. Let's not panic anybody by saying a few weeks. First of all, let's talk about what feels kind of the elephant in the room as such, in so much as the entries this year aren't as strong and as deep, and there aren't as many of them as in previous years. We've obviously had a really tricky spring with, I imagine, quite a few people having missed prep runs, having missed their final sort of qualification runs, that sort of thing. Do you think that we can kind of attribute that to perhaps what we're then seeing at Bramham?
Yes, probably. It's probably a combination of all sorts of things, entries, look at the final number of badminton runners. It wasn't what we've had in previous years. I think it's probably a knock-on from COVID, of which we're only seeing the effects of the horses that were younger and trying to get their qualifications during that period. Two, yes, this extraordinary spring where so many people have missed so much. And, quite rightly, you shouldn't go to Bramham unless you're ready really to compete at Bramham. So, that may play a part. Also, Mill Street this weekend always tempts some people, and it's a Mill Street on a different date. It's sort of the old Tattersalls date, if you like. I think there's also Cronenberg this weekend.
Yeah.
And possibly because Bramham is such a top-end 4-star long, and delightfully so, I wonder if it runs into the Lamoulan 5-star entries a bit as well. Not a dissimilar pool of horses, possibly.
Yeah, you're probably right, to be fair. And you make a good point with Cronenberg. I know Alex Bragg has taken, I think, 3 over for the 4-star long there. Mill Street is a really interesting one because it's the same weekend as Tats. And Tats used to have a 1, 2 and 3-star as it was then, now a 2, 3 and 4-star. But they used to have a 4-star short as well. But Mill Street has literally everything for everybody now. There's young horse classes, there's 1-star, there's 2-star shorts, there's 3-star shorts. So you can literally take horses from the whole yard.
Exactly. And that particularly when horses perhaps have missed international qualifications and need them, there may be some extra ones doing that. So basically the long answer short is it's not Bramham's fault. It's probably just the nature of this year and the nature of the peaks and troughs that eventing can go through in terms of groups of horses at different levels.
Shall we then dive in to, should we start with the 4-star long, the feature class, if you like, because actually heading up the 4-star long on the Prediction Centre is arguably one of the most exciting young horses on the circuit. Is a lot DHI with Ros Cantor, 29% win chance, so a strong old win chance. The top two in the Prediction Centre actually have well over 50% between them. It's Ros and Is-a-Lot DHI, Piggy March, Brookfield, Cavalier Cruise. We'll come on to Piggy in a second. Is-a-Lot DHI recently scored an 18 in the first phase at Chatsworth. Won the 4-star short here convincingly 12 months ago. So we know he goes well at the venue. He's been here before. Yes, there'll be another sort of 4 minutes on the cross-country track for the 4-star long, but he's since been to Buccleuch as well. I would say they are very worthy favourites here.
Yeah, absolutely. Ros is obviously the recent Badminton winner. She is riding quite beautifully. She has produced this horse superbly. I thoroughly enjoyed watching their cross-country round at Chatsworth. She didn't do anything unnecessarily risky. She used it as the perfect prep. You'd think that, you know, gosh, it's eventing, anything can happen, but they are certainly, as you say, very worthy favourites and a delightful combination for people to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was super impressed actually with him. I remember here 12 months ago, but at Chatsworth, because he just cruised. I mean, she didn't take her foot off, her foot off the handbrake. She didn't take her hand off the handbrake, whatever that would be. She cruised round, I think, with 20 odd time penalties, but at no point did she ever look like she was doing.
It was so neat, so neat, and super. Yes, Piggy March is knocking on the door behind her on Brookfield Cavalier Cruise, a ride that she inherited from Tom McEwen, that she won on Thorsby, went well for her at Bicton. You'd think there was more work to come in the dressage from this horse, and perhaps one imagines that they will keep improving as a combination together. I wouldn't have thought she'd overtake Piggy in the Ros in the dressage yet.
I mean, this is the horse. So I went back and reminded myself, sometimes the Brookfield horses, you can get a bit confused as to which one is which, listeners. I'm sure you've been there. But Brookfield Cavalier Cruise is a horse that won the 3-star long up at Blair Castle last year as a 9-year-old, has come to Piggy this season. Both of them ride for Brookfield horses, for John and Chloe Perry and Alison Swinburne. So it's not unusual for them to kind of pass the odd horse between themselves. But with Tom, 22.9 at the 3-star level, that he finished on to win up at Blair Castle. Since then, won at Thorsby this spring with a 25.4, with both internationals with Piggy, 25.4, 25.7. So well in touch, I would say. The other Brookfield horse that's here is Brookfield Future News, which is a horse making his 4-star debut, just an 8-year-old, and that's in the 4-star short section that we'll talk about a little bit later on. That's a horse that went very well in young horse classes last year and was second in the British Young Horse 7-year-old title at Osberton, behind Piggy's other ride. I think Desert Arthurland won then. So we'll look out for him there. But I mean, this is a really exciting one. It's interesting because just recently, you know, Piggy's, since the retirement of Veneer Chimera, Brookfield Innocent, not yet back from an injury break. We'll hopefully see him on the road to Burghley very soon. But she's had this sort of gap from the 3-star horses that have been running really well, and then obviously the retirement of Veneer Chimera. So there's been a bit of a gap in her string, but she's got Cool Park, Sarko and Halo both running at Mill Street as we're recording this, listeners. Mill Street's going on at the moment, both at Mill Street. Then she's got Brookfield's Cavalier Cruise in the 4-star here. By the end of Bramham weekend, potentially, depending on what's happened in Mill Street, Piggy has just gone from being not really anywhere on the selectors' radar for the Europeans to potentially all over it, with horses that actually are looking for good 4-star runs, either for the first time or, in the case of Cool Park Sarko, for the first time really with Piggy, but having had a bit of a break over the last 12 months.
Yes, so I am quite interested in Vita AP of Sarah Bullamore's, the 9-year-old mare. This is, so she is her second 4-star long. She went to Buccleuch, had a couple of show jumps down, which looking at her record was very unusual for her, but she was second in the 8 and 9-year-olds at Blenheim last year. And I think she's cool. Again, the dressage marks are steadily coming down into the mid-20s. She's a good jumper. You don't know whether a horse is going to gallop and stay around Bramham until it does, but she's exciting. And Sarah could do with something nice happening. It hasn't perhaps been the easiest spring for her. Corraway hasn't quite shown the brilliance that he can do. So I would love her to get a good result here. A top 10 encouraging placing would be great. And they're very capable of it.
Yeah, Sarah has Corraway actually in the 4-star short as well. I was just going to check this horse's breeding because I have a feeling she had some fairly interesting breeding with she's by Conair. The dam is a horse called Electra, and I have a feeling Conpierre, who Sarah rode up to the 5-star level, was also by Conair, and I'm not sure if they're full siblings or half siblings. I can double check it if I get that far back quickly enough, listeners, on the good old British eventing website. Here we go. We're nearly here.
Do I talk about another horse while you look it up?
Hang on, I'm about there, Catherine. I'm literally... Oh, and after all of that, just by the same sire. Damn, not at all related. But I was right in so much as both by the same sire of Connor. Anyway, go on to another horse. I agree. One to watch for Sarah Bullimore.
Well, Aaron Miller, who's got both KEC Decon and Friendship VDL in this class. I'm slightly surprised to see, I would have thought his prediction centre percentage would be higher. I mean, KEC Decon didn't get round Badminton, but did A, recover from that very well at Bicton, and B, did a 25 in the dressage at Badminton. So on song and on form, they're podium potential.
Yeah, do you know what? He did a 28 at Badminton, 25 at Bicton, I think, and he was 8th at Bicton. But I would agree. I think for me, the question mark is probably speed. Can he, what can he do with the Bramham hills? And, he's done a couple of long formats in recent years at the 4-star level, hasn't made the time in either of those at Blenheim and at Mill Street. But that being said, has 5-star experience, completed Pau last year. I've been super impressed with this combination, actually. I think I agree with you. I think they're knocking on the door. Aaron's getting a really nice team of horses.
Yeah, and he's riding out of his skin. Forget not getting around Badminton. These things happen, but I think he's been very impressive this spring.
Yeah, agree. Confidence does a huge amount. And I would say, agree, really, really like his chances. In the 4-star long, if you go a little bit further down, I cannot believe he's actually 5th on the prediction centre. We've skipped over Tom McEwen, actually, Luna Mist, who went very well for a top 10 at Burnham Market. Really smart mare, who's got a 10% win chance. But the horse I was zeroing in on, because you have to go down to number 5 to find him, would be, or find her, I should say, would be the reigning Equirating's horse of the year, best of the French at Pratoni last year, Zaragoza, Gaspard Maxud. I mean, it's really interesting. They've decided to come to Bramham as their sort of spring long format. There was no Semur this year, which was a path that they'd taken previously. You would imagine very much home Europeans incoming in Harada Pain in August, home Olympics. Yeah, they've surely got to be in with a great shout.
Yes, you'd have thought so. And I think this is a good move. They were very impressive in Pratoni. This is something completely different in terms of cross country. And I look forward to seeing them. She's dead cool, this mare, isn't she? I mean, she sort of lights you up. You can't help but watch her.
She really is. And do you know what? One thing that I would say is you can, generally speaking, when talking about Gaspard, who actually comes here off the back of a great win in the 3-star a few weeks ago at Bicton, he will be going for it cross country. I would put money on them being inside the time on Saturday in the cross country. Surely they've got to be favourites to go clear inside the time over Ian Stark's track. So great chance for them. Jesse Campbell, actually, Gambizi is up there as well. Good to see him kind of featuring. He's we haven't seen him quite so much at top level in the last couple of years, but he's building a really nice string back up, and Gambisi certainly won there. Ringwood LB, Susie Berry is in here, which is, I think, a really strong combination for Ireland. And then the next one I'm going to find, because he is absolutely on fire this spring, Harry Mead, okay, has been in great form. He comes here having had some brilliant results in the I think it was the 2-star at Bicton. But he has Cavalier Crystal, who was actually one of his badminton entries, but actually elected to bring the horse to, could only run 2 at badminton. He's elected to bring him to Bramham instead of going to Lamulin. So I just think an Ian Stark cross-country track kind of cries out for a good, Harry Mead loves that, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he's been in great form.
And this mare, Cavalier Crystal, she's got good 4-star long form. In 2021, she was 4th in the 4-star long at Mill Street. And she went to Blenheim that year. Didn't do a 4-star long last year.
Okay.
And Red Kite. He's got Red Kite as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 more horses that I want to flag in this 4-star long, particularly. One is for a rider who actually, I think back in the day, won the under-25 class here at Bramham. Astier Nicolas, who was the individual silver medalist from the Rio Olympic Games in 2016, has a really interesting horse called Diez Cochat. She's a 10-year-old mare. We haven't seen a huge amount of her internationally, certainly not on British soil. She was top 20 at Blair Castle last year in the 3-star long. Can have poles in the show jumping, but Astier is a remarkable competitor, and I'd be really looking forward to seeing her here, because let's be honest, he's not bringing her if he doesn't think that she's ready for the challenge. Only done 1 4-star short, that was at Kronenberg, but just 1 second over the time cross country on that occasion. It was an achievable time, but still looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, I like the fact that Astier targets some of the biggest British events, particularly those with terrain, such as Bramham, Chatsworth and Blair. He knows them well. He was based in England for a long time, and he knows that his horses need experience outside France.
Yeah, I like it as well, because actually, he is one of the top competitors in the world, let alone just in France. And we quite often don't really get an insight into those horses competing on the French national circuit. So when, he's bold enough to come and sort of throw the horse in at the deep end at Bramham as such, it's a really exciting time, because that they've been produced well. That they've obviously got all of the ingredients, otherwise he wouldn't be bringing them. So very much looking forward to that. My last big one for the 4-star long is actually going to be Lizzie Boff and Be Exclusive, who I did speak to Lizzie at Chatsworth, actually, because she won Chatsworth horses. I think he's hadn't won an international. He's been so close so many times. Was 6th at Blenheim last year on her 4-star long debut. But actually that was his first win, going back to, I think, winning a novice as a young horse. And I did speak to her at Chatsworth, because I was like, I'm sure you're still an under 25. Are you not? But no, alas, she just sneaks out. A little bit too old to compete in the under 25, so she's in with all the seniors. But I'd say they've got a great chance of another top 10 here this weekend. They were the guinea pig riders at badminton. They won Chatsworth, as I say. They've been 6th at Blenheim. They didn't quite finish on their dressage score. Solitary time penalty in the show jumping at Blenheim last year. But really exciting horse, very talented young rider.
My absolute only last horse that I'll mention in this class, well, we could go on forever as ever, couldn't we? But is ESI Phoenix of Angus Smales. Has got good 5-star form. Angus is a great cross-country rider, and this horse isn't the fastest on 4 legs around a long track, but is very, very capable. And I think that people hopefully will enjoy watching Angus, who loves a good, strong cross-country track, jump round whatever Ian Stark sets them. We're so lucky in Britain to have the variety of tracks and terrain that we have, and the younger riders need to look to their elders and appreciate the fact that they really need to learn to ride around these tracks and get experience around them. And Angus has long been someone to watch across country.
He's very good at riding what's underneath him cross country, actually. Probably the many, many years spent in a hunting field as well, of kind of knowing what your horse has got in the tank. And I remember watching him at Bicton for the 5-star a few years ago with his horse, I think. And he came home with about 40 time penalties. And he said, he went out, the horse had missed some fitness. We obviously didn't know there was going to be a Bicton until quite late on. So hadn't been sort of campaigned months out ready for that. And he was so clever in his riding. And actually, the horse came home beautifully. And he just rode what was underneath him. And I think we could all look and learn 100%. Right. Podium, Catherine. Before we move on to the 4-star short, who wins the 4-star long at Bramham?
Well, I have to be boring and say Ros Cantron is a lot DHI, because it would be silly to look beyond them for the win, I think. But I am going to say that they win. I am going to say that Piggy March and Brookfield Cavalier Cruise finish second, and that Gaspard Maxud and Zaragoza the second finish third.
Do you know, I was going to go pretty much the same.
I think that's okay. You can do that.
But I'll go Ros Cantor, Islot DHI, Gaspard Maxud, Zaragoza. And then I might go Lizzie Boff, be exclusive.
You are the Lizzie Boff correspondent. It's a Lincolnshire thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the 4-star short. This is where we saw Islot DHI jump into sort of the front of everybody's minds 12 months ago. He'd been a very impressive young horse, but it was here that he really made his mark at the 4-star short level of competition. So Corraway, a horse at kind of a different end, a different part of his career, is actually the favourite on the prediction centre here, 22% win chance. I would say, so Corraway, I feel like surely the tide is going to turn, because he's got all of the ability, all of the talent, and things just haven't been going to plan for them, have they?
No, they haven't. It's, having been on such an upward trajectory, they haven't had a great spring. Look, the horse is still very talented. Sarah is still a superb rider, but you need confidence as well. And if things haven't been going well, it isn't that easy to ride as though they're going well. That sounds a bit odd, but I think you know what I mean. So I wish them the best of luck. I hope they go brilliantly, and I should be delighted to see it, but I think I wouldn't put my money on them this weekend.
He was brilliant at Blenheim last year, and he sort of canted round inside the time. I presume, obviously, heading to Le Moulin in a few weeks' time. So this will be a sort of a final prep run for them. One would imagine. Haven't checked the entries, but I think that's right. All of the talent. I really hope things do come together for them, because actually, I love this little horse. I think if it hadn't have been for his spring, he would be a much, much, much clearer favourite here. He's a 22% chance, and he would be way out in front, because actually feels like we're going to see some really smart young horses making their mark, actually coming back up sort of behind. You've got the likes of Piggy March, Brookfield Future News, who was second at Osberton, as I say, an 8-year-old this time.
First 4-star short.
Yeah. Will Rawlin has Ballycoog Breaker Boy actually as well in here, and it's nice to see him featuring well up the prediction centre. Selena Milnes, Cooley Snapchat. There's plenty of newer names. We sometimes do these preview shows, and particularly at the spring, you kind of feel like you talk about the same people over and over. And actually this class feels like it is much more open.
Yes. I mean, well, when you say we talk about the same people, I'm about to say, how about Hector Payne and Dynasty, who didn't have the badminton of their dreams, but were obviously second at Poe last year, which is, superb form. If they are back together in one piece, they could be competitive in this. Again, I don't think it's the strongest 4-star short we've ever seen at Bramham. But there's some interesting newer horses. You know, former 4-star short Bramham winner Alex Huatian has got a couple of newer horses. Oh, I see. That's quite interesting that Zara Tyndall's turning Class Affair around quite quickly after a successful Kentucky.
He had such a quiet spring, though. I mean, I think he literally ran around Thorsby and then did Kentucky, and that was all he did all spring.
Yeah, and look,
so I think she's sort of probably, one would imagine, aiming for Burley and sort of starting to get the runs in early.
Yes, and he's that kind of busy character who probably needs his mind occupied. He's had a nice munch in the field. Thank you very much. Let's get back to work.
Ready to go. Really interesting one, actually, for Ros Cantor, has MHS 17 and a horse that was formerly campaigned by Nicola Wilson. Ros took on the ride last season and actually won the 3-star Long Osberton, which was hugely competitive at the end of the season. First 4-star cross country for them it would be, because actually the horse went to Chatsworth but only did the dressage. So that would be a horse I'm really looking forward to seeing. One that I would imagine would see to a 4-star Long somewhere later on in the season. Tom McEwen has MHS Brown Jack in here. The Alex Huatian horses that you just mentioned actually a couple of them are entered at Mill Street, so I'm not sure how many we'll see run here as well. So we'll see on that one. Molly Summerlin,
Darcy Delarose, really nice mare.
She's been really impressive coming up through the sort of age group classes as a young horse. I was just going to pick up on Molly Summerlin's Flow 7.
Yes,
who was
very good
at Bicton. In the top 10.
Very impressive, in the younger horse classes, and the 2 stars and things seems to have somehow got up to this level quite quickly, but that's probably my imagination. But yeah, she's a real talent, isn't she?
And the horse is one of those that actually he's really, really, really long legs. Listeners, if you're looking at Flow 7,
I wish I had.
Absolutely fills the eye, but has really long legs, and one kind of feels like actually as he's come up through the levels he's just kind of needed to grow into them and kind of get them all out the way a little bit more, because he used to have a couple of poles down in the show jumping, and that was very much his sort of weaker phase, but he jumped a great double clear at Bicton, and I know Molly's full of confidence with him, so I'd be really excited. I was super impressed by him actually, and how he could gallop. I think it was at Burnham Market this spring, but he had a real gallop on him. So yes, very much looking forward to seeing them. Can I ask, Catherine?
Yeah.
Who wins the 4-star short? Because I do want to give a little bit of love to the under 25 4-star Long, which admittedly is quite a small field this year.
Okay. I think that Hector Payne and Dynasty win the 4-star short.
Exciting. Okay.
I think it's very open.
Podium? Do I get a podium?
No, you just get a winner.
Just get a winner. Okay. I'm going to say Corraway comes back to form. Sarah Bullimore, come on. Cheeky little monkey. I'd love to see him go well. I really would. Okay. Let's just touch upon the under 25s class, because there's only 11 in it, actually. It's a pretty small number of competitors. Who stands out for you?
Well, obviously, there's Bubby Upton and Magic Roundabout. They are, probably the best known combination in the field. But for me, I'd have a real thing for Max Warburton and Monbeg Exclusive in this.
Okay, that's a good call. Former Andrew Nicholson ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Max done a really good job with the horse, and I think they could go well. Richard Coney's got 2, and Murmus Are Diamonds was his young rider horse. Am I right? Certainly, it's a horse that he's done plenty at this level on. They should be comfortable within themselves.
I think I found the winner.
Okay.
I am going to say, I found the winner. They've won at this level previously. would be the only horse in the field to have won at this level previously. And that would be the young French rider.
Oh, yes.
In Morgan Yuriatz and Baccarat d'Argon, who this 12-year-old mare actually came here last year, had fall down on the final day, which really sort of threw them down the order because they were well in contention at that point. But they've had a good amount of 4-star long form now. They've completed, they won Linear back end of 2021. They completed here last year, 1 second over the time cross country. They were clear inside the time at Buccolo last year. You know, arguably one of the most experienced combinations in this field. And so I'd say they've got a great shout. The other horse that I have to say I absolutely love, and if you're watching at the Horse and Country live stream, look out for them, listeners, is Emma Thomas's Icarus, who seems to have made a real breakthrough in the dressage. Would not have found the dressage easy and would have been well into the 40s, I think it would be safe to say, but has been getting better and better and is now sort of mid-30s. They went brilliantly at Chatsworth, but in the jumping phases, he is such a little pocket rocket. He looks the most fun to ride. Emma does a great job with him because he definitely has his own opinions, but I love them. I think they're great.
Well, I shall be watching it on the live stream. You should be commentating on it. I wish I was going to Bramham. I haven't been since... Oh, no, I did go briefly last year, only for one day. But my last one was 2019, which was a wet Bramham. But I think you'll have a beautiful sunny Bramham this year. And actually, now that it's here, I rather do wish I was going. It's always the way, isn't it?
It's always the way. Can I ask you, Catherine, quick pop quiz before we wrap up the show? Bramham actually holds a record because it was at Bramham that Julia Krajewski rode a horse called Chipmunk.
Yeah.
Now known as Fisher Chipmunk, FRH, to win here, a few years ago now. I'll double check the year. What are we looking? Probably 2017?
Yeah,
2018?
17 or 18.
Something like that. I'll double check it. 2018 it was. And a fun fact for you listeners, that actually their finishing score of 19.4 when winning the 4-star long format is a record finishing score at 4-star long format, going back to 2008 and probably beyond. Of all those horses that have competed at that level since then, that is still the best score. And it was at Bramham, which was a tough old place to do it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, brilliant horse, brilliant rider, went their separate ways, but are still, still obviously outstanding in whatever they do. Not sure we're going to get one of those this weekend, but we might do.
You never know. Is a lot DHI. Yeah, that's the one that's going to do it. If it is going to do it, is a lot DHI. Look out for that dressage record score in the 4-star long, which would be, funnily enough, it's not actually Julia Krajewski and Chipmunk from that year that they won. It was Izzy Taylor Orlando back in 2014, 18.7.
Gosh, I remember that as well. Yeah.
There we go. Right, listeners, that is it for the Bramham preview show. Don't forget, if you are there this weekend, then enjoy it. There will be cross-country action on Horse and Country on the Saturday. For anybody who wants to tune in to any of the cross-country across the day, we will be live with lots of different special guests for you. But for now, that is all we've got time for. So thank you very much for tuning in as always, and we'll be back soon with more the Equirating Cementing podcast. Welcome to Fairfax and Favour's Quick Fire Questions. Now, today's guest is a Young Rider Gold medalist. She is a 5-star rider. It is none other than Felicity Collins. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favourite meal?
I like a good steak and chips. Can't go wrong.
You and me both. What Fairfax and Favour item is your go-to when you go out for dinner?
I love the Rockingham ankle boot in taupe. I think it's really stylish and it's quite different as well.
What is your party trick?
Well, not sure if it is a party trick, but I'm quite good at the cereal packet challenge, which is a party game. So I like to encourage that game to come out at parties so that I can try and win.
We all want to go to a party you're at now. Which bee is your favourite? Bags, boots or belts?
Boots.
Felicity Collins, thank you so much for playing along with Fairfax and Favour's Quickfire Questions.
Thank you very much.